There have been 11 civil suits filed against P. Diddy in the last year, and it's only apropos to start with the suit filed by Cassandra Ventura, who you probably know as the singer Cassie.
I saw this kid lose his life. This kid died while I was pulling him out the car. He had died, man.
Was that we're going to have the case, and the biggest concern was Sean Combs the shooter? Did he have any involvement in this, the shooting of a woman in the club, and possibly several other people that might have got injured?
We're listening to Mike right now. Obviously, you know, this is a really sad time right now, but we're celebrating his life. Your thoughts right now on the situation and the timing of this tragedy?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he just somebody that changed my life. You know what I'm saying? Somebody I'll always love and cherish.
Rumours about Diddy are abound, and this time it's in relation to him and yet another alleged murder. This time it's about him apparently having something to do with the legendary Michael Jackson's death. While that might seem a bit far-fetched, you might want to remember all the other times he's been involved in murders and violent crimes. Suddenly the rumour seems like it holds some truth. Now, let's start from the beginning. Every rumour that seems crazy has some truth to it, and the same can be said of the fact that Diddy might have gotten Michael Jackson murdered. First of all, let's start with the allegation that he also killed his friend Biggie Smalls. Let's start with Tupac Shakur's murder. Everybody knew about the feud between Puffy's Bad Boy Records and Suge Knight's Death Row Records back in those days.
Can you envision a day when, you know, y'all, if not get together and make an album, just peacefully coexist?
There's no dream of making an album with Biggie and Puffy, or none of them. We're not sweating it like that.
This is our family.
We
over
peacefully
here.
coexist right now because we all cool. Everybody's here. They sell records. We sell records. Well, I guess you could call that selling records. What they do, we sell large amounts of records, and they sell a few records.
When Tupac got murdered, the rap world was left reeling. Everyone was scrambling to find out the killer, but the case remained unsolved for well over 2 decades. And while Keith D has come forward as the alleged shooter, those closely involved in the incident think there's more to it. For one, Diddy's ex-bodyguard Gene Deal has outlined the intense obsession Diddy had with Tupac. He said that Diddy based his label's entire image off of Tupac.
Everybody knew that Puff took Tupac blueprint and changed Biggs and Bad Boy in image. I Get Around, talked about how fly you was, how many girls you mess with, how many cars you drive, how much money you got, what you willing to do. He took his image. Pac was the first one on the scene wearing Versace shirts. He went and got the same Versace shirts Pac had. Which, all right, some dudes would do that. You would never catch me wearing something else, something that somebody else got. He was knocking down all the women that he thought Pac was knocking down. And what I mean is having sex with them.
He outlined how Diddy even slept with the same women Tupac did. Deal pointed out how weird his obsession was, because the two were once close enough that Tupac almost signed to Bad Boy, but they ended up falling out.
Why would you want to have sex with women you know for sure a dude that was once cool with you was dealing with? That's that image. Because you got to realize, bruh, Puff and Pac was cool at one time. We know this. Mopreem said that they was going to sign the Bad Boy. So if he's going to sign to Bad Boy, it was because of Corey and them. I put that picture on the internet. I put the picture on my channel of Corey Jones. Is Corey Jones, Corey Jacobs? I think Corey Jacobs and Pac right next to each other. Those was the real bad boys of Bad Boy. You understand? Those are the ones who got the 16 to life sentencing. That Pac was gonna go and be with them first. But then Mopreem said when it became just Big and Puff, because Corey and them went to jail, he changed his direction. But nobody know why Pac and Puff fell out like they did. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody know why. But Puff had an obsession with him for whatever reason it was, because he started wanting to act. He started wanting to rap. He had an obsession so bad that at his Grammy Award winning speech, he used the same speech that Pac used. That shit is crazy.
Former hip-hop cop Derek Parker, who was once active when rap wars were at their peak, detailed why people think Diddy ordered the hit on Tupac.
Now, there was a problem with Puff, or Diddy, Sean Combs as we say, and Death Row Records with Suge Knight. There was a total beef with them because of the shooting that happened in Atlanta with Jake Robles when he got killed, when one of Puffy's guys killed one of Suge's guys. So that beef stemmed from back then. But there was always this indication that Puffy paid or had money put up with another individual who's dead, named Zip, to provide protection money. Now, the thing with Orlando Anderson happened spontaneously because that happened at the MGM. And when they got in the car, Orlando went after them because they had beat him up in the MGM casino in Las Vegas. So that's where that stemmed from. Now, everybody's saying there's a lot of different things about people saying, well, there was money paid for this, money paid for that. There was an allegation that money was put up for protection money. And the protection money might have included maybe the possible assassination of Suge or Tupac. So that's still up in the air. Nobody could really corroborate that. It's been said, but it's still out there in the case.
When asked whether he really thought Diddy was involved in the incident, he said that there was definitely something to unpack there.
No, there's some truth to it. You know, listen, I've talked to several. Listen, I was one of the first detectives out there on that shooting, on his homicide.
Which brings us to the next murder, this time of one none other than the notorious Big, one of the most lauded rappers of all time. He was signed to Puffy's Bad Boy Records and was killed just a few months after Tupac. Former Bad Boy president Kirk Burroughs once claimed that Diddy and Biggie Smalls weren't close friends as Diddy claimed they were.
Honestly, when I look back on it, if he trusted Sean more, it would have been better. But he didn't trust him as much as the way Sean says they were best friends after he was dead. No, I didn't see that during the time we were working with him. I see that as an emotional cry out after he's gone. I saw him as wanting his music and everything to be right, have the number ones, and we delivered that. I think there might have been a little bit of a hole or a gap when it came time to people being friends. I think Sean wanted friendship too. He might have wanted the best friend thing.
This was corroborated by Deal, who had even more to say. He said that tensions were high between the two because Biggie allegedly wanted to branch out on his own and make his own label. Diddy was obviously not happy with the prospect of losing his most well-known artist, so he said that he'd be dead before he got his publishing back.
Everybody that Biggie was preparing to leave Bad Boy, and everybody was saying, how did I know? I told them I seen the contract. Me and Biggie had a conversation the week before he died. I was in the Winnebago and Biggie was telling me his whole life story, and I was telling everybody I didn't know why this kid was telling me his life story. It's something that he had to feel. It's something that he had to know for him to sit there and tell me the stuff that he told me, bruh. You understand? He wanted his marketing and his publishing back, that he said that the management that he had at the time, Mark Pitts and Wayne Barrows, who were Puff friends, basically talked him into selling his publishing to Puff. Puff was gonna have him sign the contract for, I think it's Life After Death, the double CD, without giving his publishing and his marketing back. So now Big, he's about to go, I think it was Capitol. He was signing a deal with Capitol. You understand? With all those different groups. And Puff was not, you know, listen, Kirk Burroughs said that Puff told him, man, you'll be dead before I give you all your publishing back. Wow.
Fast forward to a week later, and Biggie really did end up dead. Deal said that it was clear to anyone willing to see that Diddy offered his friend up to his enemies as an exchange for Tupac's murder.
You know Pac just got killed. It ain't no kind of business Big was doing. Big couldn't even walk. He couldn't run. They was pushing him around in a wheelchair, brother. Why the hell would you rent studio time at LA for him to finish your album when in fact you got your own studio at Daddy's house? Let's keep it a buck. Let's stop this bullshit, man. Let's stop doing these interviews, man, about this shit. Because people ain't getting it. He did not want the beef with the Crips. Puff ain't want the beef with the Dog Pound, Snoop them or whatever. Big started that beef. You understand what I'm saying? Puff ain't want none of that beef. So what I'm gonna do is, y'all want the sheep? I'm gonna put him out the pasture.
Deal even said that Biggie's death haunts him to this day because he feels like he could have done something to prevent it.
Sometimes I can't get the shit out of my mind, but I have good days, bad days. You gotta realize when you hear the music, I go into a restaurant and they playing the Biggie music and they got shit like on the walls of Big, places I go and I see that shit. And you, oh man, you was put in a place to try to save this kid's life. And I seen the joy, the pain, I seen all the bullshit unfold. I saw this kid lose his life. This kid died while I was pulling him out the car. He had died, man.
Do you think Diddy really got Tupac and Biggie murdered so he could come out on top, or is there more to it? Now, a lot of people have pointed out how Diddy actually benefited for decades from Biggie Smalls' death. One is none other than Suge, who also lost Tupac, who was both his artist and friend, around the same time.
It was all in the motherfucking video still today. And he benefited when Biggie wasn't here, because if Biggie wasn't here, he wouldn't be rapping. Once Biggie wasn't here, that motherfucker started rapping. When Pac left, I didn't pick up a microphone. I picked up the pieces. But for his Puff doing the shit he did, it's only obvious what he was involved in. At the same time, right? Interscope universe the same.
And then there's Jaguar Wright, who laid out the exact way Diddy has capitalized off of Biggie and his work. She did it by asking a very simple question: how valuable is a Biggie Smalls verse?
How valuable is a Biggie Smalls verse?
Yeah.
Can you put value on?
Puffy has been making money off of Biggie's name for longer than Biggie was alive. People keep forgetting he hadn't turned 25 yet. He was still 24 when he died. It's been over 25 years. Fucking Puffy has been making money on that boy's name longer than he lived. It supported all of Bad Boy. His catalog. Clearly, a Biggie Smalls verse is very valuable. Am I wrong? Does anybody disagree with me?
No, that's facts.
So then what the fuck happened to the commission? What happened to that album?
Right.
It was recorded. It was being mixed and mastered upon Biggie's death. It was supposed to have came out that summer after Biggie's album, because Biggie's album was slated. He died a week and a half before his album came out. Then the commission was supposed to come out, and that was supposed to be his exit from Bad Boy. And then starting his own company. So tell me something.
Meanwhile, Gene Deal even believes Diddy murdered Kim Porter, the mother of his children and his ex-girlfriend.
Allegedly, Kim was found the day before and the day of her death. And then now she found in the bed, dead from pneumonia. That just don't sound right, bro. That don't sound right at all.
So you feel the same way about her death being suspect?
I don't think nobody in America think it's nothing suspicious about Kim's death, bro. If you are rich like that, you could, Kim had, I think a net worth of like, what, 12 million a year or something like that? Kim could have called any doctor.
And once again, Jaguar Wright corroborated what Deal alleged and laid it out very simply. Diddy again had a lot to gain if Kim died.
Kim is dead. Heavy D is dead.
What's it?
Andre Harrell is dead. The only two left are Puffy and Al almost died. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
Heavy D was found dead, face down in the heart attack. Andre Harrell, heart attack. Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. They have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms. And then right after that, Al had a meeting, and I was gonna meet up with him because we were in Vegas, and then the next thing you know, you wanna know what they all had in common though? The survivors and the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all books. Andre was writing a book right before he died. Heavy D was working on a book before he died. Kim Porter was working on a book before she died. And Al B. Sure was working on the documentary of his life. And then he goes into a coma. Has Puffy ever been in a coma?
If all that doesn't convince you, then there's the fact that the feds basically confirmed he blew up rapper Kid Cudi's car just because he was flirting with Cassie.
And they allege, quote, in the early morning hours of December 22nd, 2011, the defendant and a co-conspirator kidnapped an individual at gunpoint to facilitate breaking into and entering the residence of Individual 1. By the way, Individual 1 is not named, but we'll get to that. Multiple witnesses would testify at trial to the events surrounding the kidnapping and break-in, the latter of which is corroborated by police reports and other records. Approximately 2 weeks later, the defendant's co-conspirators set fire to Individual 1's vehicle by slicing open the car's convertible top and dropping a Molotov cocktail inside the interior.
So, what do you think? Will Diddy really turn out to have something to do with Michael Jackson's death? And if he does, will we ever find out? That's it for now. Don't forget to tell us what you think in the comments below. For more updates, hit the bell icon.